What is going on, guys? JNC here for JNC Rewind number 11. And for this week's edition of JNC Rewind, we're going to be covering the Royal Rumble of 2011. This, of course, marked the only time in history that there was a 40-man Royal Rumble match, the largest of all time. That is until the greatest Royal Rumble, I guess you could say. So maybe not the biggest of all time, but at the time it was the biggest.
Yeah. Took about 7 years to do that, though.
Yeah, and make what you will of that show, of course, but
none of those should count.
Yeah. So of course, 2011. Haven't done a show from this year yet. We did our first 2010 show with the, of course, the TNA Impact Monday Night Raw JNC Rewind. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and check that out. Of course, check out all of our other previous JNC Rewinds. Those are pretty much timeless. I mean, like when we do our JNC radios and we do like our pay-per-view reviews and stuff, I mean, those could be kind of dated based upon the time period, but those rewinds are all like throwback shows. So those are always, so always check those out whenever you get the opportunity to. Those will never go bad. So yeah, we're here in 2011, different time period. This is a period where we head into, of course, WrestleMania 27 of that year, starting with this show. Very interesting time, of course. Edge, he would come down to the final stretches of his run, of his career, and The Miz would be enjoying his first world title reign, and only world title reign at the time. So it's funny to think about that, and just think of the roster at this time. It's a lot different than. I mean, there of course, there's been some familiar faces to return and stuff, but I mean, you go into the depth of the roster at this time, it's funny to reflect.
Yeah. Besides most of those guys in the roster that we saw on the show are basically still here, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's more so the undercard. Maybe that's changed up a bit, but it's funny. A lot of these guys actually in this surprisingly are still around.
Yeah.
So that I actually didn't realize how many probably there were until
we watched the show.
Although, if we would have done this a couple years back, this probably would not have been the case.
No.
Because there's been some returns.
Yeah, there's been some returns, but this was a very, very interesting event, to be honest.
Yes. So, of course, for Rumble 2011, this will be January 30th of 2011 from the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yuck.
Oh, shut up. And the crowd attendance figure for this was 15,113. So we'd open here with the opening video package, of course. It's the Road to WrestleMania begins. It's the biggest Royal Rumble match in history.
On the 24th annual. I thought that'd be like a surprise 25th annual.
Yeah, I don't think they really put that much thought into that.
No.
So we'd open here with the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. We'd have Edge defending against Dolph Ziggler with Vicky Guerrero. And the stip here was that if Edge uses the spear in this match, he would lose the World Heavyweight Championship. So that would actually, on paper, that may for some people be like, oh, well, it's just the heel, just cheating or whatever to get their way or whatever. But this actually made for a very interesting match, I will say. And I actually thought that this that they did a very good job of going their way around that stip.
I agree. No, I agree with you 100%. I thought it actually was a lot of fun in ways.
Yeah, so throughout this, I thought both guys looked good. Of course, this is still like, there was a Spirit Squad, and he was Travel's caddy at one point, I guess, but
Travel's caddy first.
Yeah, So I mean, in the past he had done that, but as the Dolph Ziggler character, he had been like in his started like in 08, so he's still like a few years into it, but this is when he's first starting to come a little bit into his own. Move up the card just a little bit. Like, he's been a world champion technically, but he never really had like a real credible reign by any means, and it didn't seem like they ever were really truly behind him, although he is a guy who's been around for quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
But, this is like, he's starting to move up the card here. I think this is a good time for it, too, because, he was enjoying some runs as like Intercontinental Champion, and this is a step for him, I guess, a step up. So, going into the details here, towards the end here, the referee would go down, and then, well, actually, no, first he was about to get the pinfall on Ziggler, but then Vicky would pull the ref, and then at one point she was up on the apron, she was slapping Edge. Now, that was kind of weird, only because usually I think that would result in a DQ, maybe because she's the acting GM at the time. Maybe she's like, I guess you could say it's her rules, you could be above that, whatever, maybe, but yeah, Kelly would intervene, and then she'd take her out, and then while she's down, the referee at one point would also go down, and then...
Actually, I could have sworn the referee was actually down during those slaps, so that could have probably made sense.
I didn't think he was, but I don't know. But then while her and the official were down, Edge would hit the spear, and then Ziggler, of course, would do his incredible selling job, as always. One of the best sellers of all time.
Edge played it smart.
And then Edge would sell the effects of it while the ref would recover. And then once the ref was, back up, Edge would pick Dolph back up, and he'd hit him with the unprettier or kill switch, whichever one you want to go with, paying homage to Christian.
Because he was out of action at that point.
And would get the win. So Edge would retain the World Heavyweight Championship in our opener. Very good opener. Really enjoyed it. 3 3/4 is the rating for this one.
Yeah, and mine was 3.5.
Yeah, so did a very good job, especially like just the storytelling and the psychology behind the stip of him not being able to hit the spear. He technically did, but once again, then that goes along with the whole ultimate opportunist and that whole thing. So that made for a very good match.
Yeah. On another side note, we had the annoying heel Michael Cole for this one.
Oh yeah. So this is cause see, here's the thing. Like, he was never great for a lot of people or whatever. Like, maybe he was like a decent announcer at best for some people, but once they did that heel run with, well, first of all, I don't understand he can have like a heel play-by-play man. I mean, I remember the only other time I could really recall that is when I remember Josh Matthews was for a little bit with TNA or Impact. But yeah, I don't understand that. Like, usually it's a color guy like who's always the heel, so I never quite got that. But then I also think he never fully recovered from that.
Yeah.
So like people like just saw how bad it was then, and then like after that, it's like people never really caught back onto him after that. So
yeah.
And then followed by this, there was, of course, the...
It wouldn't be the Royal Rumble without 2 championship matches in a row.
Yeah, but only 4 matches on the card this show, but they showed the video package for the WWE title match where Miz cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase on Randy Orton to become the WWE champion. Then Orton would defeat Sheamus in a match to become a #1 contender. This would be followed by a backstage interview with Josh Matthews and then WWE champion at the time, Miz. Miz would pretty much talk about how he's a champion or whatnot, and then like he said some line about how Tom Brady's like not, or like unlike Tom Brady, like he's a champ or something, which that's
not a champ, but like at that point he had
he already had like 3 Super Bowls under his belt. For you football fans out there who know what we're talking about, but yeah, so that was just
yeah, and there was also saying like people think his championship reign's a fluke, and he's not gonna pass Randy because if it wasn't for Michael Cole, he would never beat Jerry Lawler. If it wasn't for Alex Riley, he would have never beat Randy Orton the first time. Well, the second time.
Yeah, I guess because they counted that Money in the Bank cash in as him beating him, which I really don't think he really can because he had already gone through a lot. Mm-hmm. But I guess they're trying to play by the record books, whatever. But yeah, so yeah, that would have been the second time. And then we'll get through this match here.
Yeah.
So then, of course, we'd have the WWE Championship match between the Miz with Alex Riley in his corner versus challenger Randy Orton. Solid match here.
Yeah, it was basically kind of similar to the world title match.
Although
in a good way.
Yeah, I think the world heavyweight title match is a bit better.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this match is actually better than I would have thought. But I mean, you got Miz, who he was enjoying like the biggest run of his career. Got Randy Orton, who had a ton of success even up to this point. This is the babyface Orton, which I mean, this wasn't always like my favorite version of him, but I mean, like there were still times where he could still have good matches, of course, like given the right opponent and everything, of course. Like in this year, I really enjoyed obviously his feud with Christian.
Yes.
I mean, those matches I enjoyed.
Yes.
So I mean, no, Randy Orton's still a great talent nonetheless, but I just prefer the heel Orton because, at least maybe so much later in his career, like I prefer the heel Orton because I just think that like, I don't know, it's just the promos are way better. So I can't really. It's more just a character thing for me.
Right.
But yeah. Then I guess toward the end here, Orton would look to put Miz away, and all of a sudden the new Nexus would appear. Remember those guys?
Yeah.
Mason Ryan, Michael McGillicuddy, now known as Curtis Axel, Husky Harris, now known as Bray Wyatt,
The Fiend,
and David Otunga. So just think about this
Still
year.
there.
So we still got 3 of the 4 people who come out here. Come out in like this sequence. Still a part of the company. So of course Michael McGillicuddy's now known as Curtis Axel. He's gone on to do a couple different things.
B team.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Ugh.
No. All right.
No, that sucked. So we had yeah. So first he'd have like this really weird push as Intercontinental Champion as Curtis Axel. I think he may have been a tag champion at one point with Michael McGillicuddy.
Yes, I believe he
I think
was.
him and Otunga may have been champs. I don't remember though. Maybe. Yeah, I think so.
It was that. I know he did have that one Intercontinental Championship reign when he was with Heyman.
Yeah, and then he did win the tag titles again with Bo Dallas.
Yes.
And yeah, then there's the Miz Taraj. So he's been around a bit. Lately, not much of anything.
Nope.
But technically he's still around.
Yep.
Of course, David Otunga, he's
still around doing a shitty kickoff shows.
Yeah, he's still around doing those, and he never really panned out as a wrestler. But then they tried making him a commentator. Didn't really think he was
Worst.
Didn't think he really panned out as that either. But once again, another guy, still technically around.
Yep.
And of course, Husky Harris. He'd later on become Bray Wyatt. He would go on to, well, he's done a few things. He started out with the Wyatt family, the Eater of Worlds. Then he did have a short run as world champion. Several years later, and then now what we see him as today, he's got the Fiend gimmick going. He's got the Firefly Funhouse character, and he is the current Universal Champion.
You know what? On a side note, you know what I actually read today? That people actually really loved that segment when he signed the contract in his blood.
I don't know. It was just, yeah. Some people liked it. I mean, I don't know. It was just a little weird for me. But I don't know. This character's supposed to make people uncomfortable, I think, sometimes. So
he's doing his job.
Yeah. So.
But yeah,
it's just funny to see where we are. Just see where we are from like the guys of like where they were at this point, and also he's gone through a huge transformation because he looks a lot different, obviously now.
And thinner.
Yeah, even thinner. That's the other thing. Like that they made a name basically just poking out the fact that like he was Husky or whatever. So they're basically just poking fun at him just with that name alone. So that wasn't right. But then getting back to the match, of course, while the official was distracted, Alex Riley would try to intervene, but Randy Orton would stop him. He'd then send Riley over the top rope, flying to the outside, taking out the new Nexus, and I guess the official too. I guess he took him out because it kind of looked like when they showed the replay, he kind of just like ducked and got out of the way, but for whatever reason, he was just down.
Right.
So the Miz would try to sneak up on Orton and then try to hit the Skull Crusher finale, but Orton would he'd roll out of it, counter, hit the RKO. Then out of nowhere, CM Punk would sneak up on Randy Orton and hit him with the go to sweep, the GTS, drag Miz over on top of Orton and exit the ring. Miz with the arm draped on top for the cover. He'd get the pin and he'd retain the WWE title. 3 stars was the rating that we both had for this one.
Yeah.
Good match.
And of course, this would be the start Another new Nexus versus Randy Orton. Those Randy matches.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought the match